guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be covering the case of Faith Hedgepeth. Now, I know there's been a ton of speculation about this case. I know that since the news broke that the DNA did match to a suspect, that this case has just gone wild and everyone's just so curious about what's going on. So I'm just going to do a little recap of what we knew a few years ago, and then I'm going to add on what we found out recently to the case so we could put it all together and figure out what is going on. Now, all this information I found on the internet, and I'm just putting it all together so we can go through the facts together and follow along with the case. I will be going through the day of Faith's murder. I'm not going to focus too much on her past. I just want to go over the day of her murder so we could go through this whole case together. I just want to start off with who is Faith. Faith was a 19-year-old woman of Native American descent. She was from Hollister, North Carolina. Everyone describes her as friendly, bubbly, popular, outgoing, and from what I can see, it seems like Faith was really like that. I know that whenever she walked into the room, she got all the attention. She was very noticeable, and especially all the guys wanted to talk to her. I know that all the guys were very interested in her, and she was the life of the party. She did get a scholarship to go to the University of North Carolina, and she was going to be one of the first people out of her family to graduate college. She dreamt of becoming a pediatrician, and that was her goals, and she was aspiring to it. Now we're going to take a look back on September 6, 2012, but to do that, I just want to explain a couple of things real quick. So let's talk about Karina. Karina was Faith's best friend that she met in freshman year. Everyone says that they were attached at the hip. They were inseparable. When you saw Faith, you saw Karina, and they just were the bestest of friends. Karina was living with her then boyfriend, Eric Takoye Jones, and their relationship was very troubled. I know that there was some domestic violence, and I know Faith was there to witness what was going on in their relationship, and I know she did not like it. I mean, that's her best friend. Obviously, if she sees her best friend hurt, she's not going to like it, and she's going to want her best friend to do something about it. So Faith did encourage Karina to leave him because it wasn't worth it, and it wasn't a good relationship. Faith always stood up for her friend because that was her best friend, and Karina finally got a backbone and decided to kick him out because, like I said, there was domestic violence. So she decided to kick him out, and then that's when Faith decided to move in. So now Faith and Karina lived together in Karina's one-bedroom apartment, which wasn't too far from their college. Eric was not too happy about this, of course, and he ended up not liking Faith because of this. Eric was very angry and wanted to get back with Karina, but also wanted to hurt Karina as well. And he wasn't too happy with Faith because Faith was backing her friend, and he just ended up not liking her too. So he threatened Karina and was just not being nice to her. Karina decided to change her locks because Eric did have a key. I believe he did have a key, and she was just going through so much with Eric that she just wanted the locks changed, and Eric did not like this at all. Eric did not like the fact that Karina decided to change the locks, so he did try to break into their apartment about 5 days later after she changed the locks. One time when he did break in, he decided to go through the window, and once he got access inside the apartment, he proceeded to beat up Karina. Now, Karina told Faith about this, and she was not happy, like any friend would be. She encouraged Karina to take out a restraining order, and Karina did it. She took out a restraining order against Eric Jones, and it was for domestic assault. So that's just a little background of the history of Karina, Faith, and Eric Jones. So I just wanted to give you that right there. And now we're going to jump into the day of the crime. So the day of the crime was September 6, 2012. On the day of the crime, Faith had a normal day of classes. At 6 p.m., she attended an event for the Alpha Pi Omega. Now, after the event, her and Karina did go to the library on campus, which was called the Davis Library. They went there around 8 p.m. and while they were there, Faith did leave for a little bit, leaving Karina alone at the library. Now, I know there was a bunch of speculation of what actually happened, but come to find out, she left and she met up with a boy off campus, and I believe they went to an apartment or something like that. They went somewhere, and then Faith did end up coming back at 11:30 to pick up Karina so they could go back to their apartment. The apartment was called the Hawthorne on the View. It was on Chapel Hill Road, and they made it there around midnight. They went inside and they started to get ready to go to the Thrill nightclub. Now, the Thrill nightclub was a club that was 18 and older. They wanted to go there to have some fun. It was a Thursday night. Thursday nights are like our Friday nights for college students. That's when they usually don't have classes Friday, so they just want to go out and have some fun. So they did end up going to the Thrill nightclub around 12:30 a.m. I see some people saying that it's not a club and it's a bar, but it's a bar that has dancing and music, and it's kind of like a club, so I'm just gonna call it a club. So Faith and Karina, they did go to the Thrill nightclub around 12:30 a.m. They met up with some other guys. They were dancing all night long, and obviously, if it's a bar slash club, they sell alcohol. And from what we know, Faith and Karina were drinking. At around 2 a.m., Karina said that she didn't feel good. This is believed to be from the alcohol she consumed. She said she didn't feel good and that she wanted to go home. So the girls did decide to leave the club and go back to their apartment. So there was security footage at the club. And when viewing the security footage as they were leaving, it seems to be like everyone was acting normal. No one was in distress. It was just, I mean, they were fine, but when you look closely at it, you could see Karina walking out first, and she looks like she's engaged in a conversation with the guy that's with her. And then about 20 seconds later, you could see Faith walking out, and she seems like she's happy. She has her arm around the guy, and she's just walking out like, no problem. There's no big deal. Just cool. We had a good night, but now we're about to leave because Karina doesn't feel good. Once they got outside the club, they were in the parking lot and they were observed talking to the guys for a little bit, and then they got in the car and left. Now, I just want to note that when they got in the car, it was just Karina and Faith. The guys did not get in the car with them. So they were in there by themselves, and then they took off to go back to their apartment. So going back to the security footage and thinking about it a little bit more, when you see them, like I said, it was a 20-second difference. So people think that since Karina walked out first and she looked like she was having a serious conversation, that she was kind of upset and there was some tension there. And Faith was walking out and she just seemed like she was, like I said, fine. So people are thinking that maybe something happened while they were at the club and they just walked out separately because they were upset with each other. Because most likely, you know, when you go to a club or a bar, when you're with your friends, you usually do the buddy system. So you stick with your friend the whole time, you go to the bathroom together, you're usually with them the whole time. So with that 20-second gap seemed to be an issue, because if you are with your friend and you want to walk, when you are with your friend and you want to leave a club, you usually leave side by side, but we don't know what could have happened. So we don't know if that's an issue or it was just them just leaving the club. So let's jump into the morning of September 7th, 2012. So according to Karina, they made it to the apartment around 3 a.m. Faith helped Karina into the apartment, which we can assume that Karina was drinking a lot, so that's why she needed help into the apartment. But Faith helped Karina into the apartment and Karina went straight to the bathroom. Faith went in there with her. Karina started vomiting in the toilet. Faith grabbed a garbage can to give to her to help her out. And she was sitting there, you know, watching, making sure she was okay, holding her hair back. And after that, Faith went and tucked Karina onto the couch, and then Faith got into the bed in the bedroom. Now, thinking about it, it was Karina's apartment, so I don't know why Karina didn't go to the bedroom and sleep on her bed, but she went to the couch. Now, a neighbor was up at this time and she claimed that she heard them come home around 3 a.m. She said that she heard 3 loud thumps. Now, we don't know what those 3 loud thumps were, because we have to remember they were drinking. Karina was drunk. We don't know if she stumbled into the house. You know, they could have been kicking off their shoes. They could have dropped down a bag they had, maybe from the car. I didn't see them with the bag, but maybe from the car. So we don't know exactly what those thumps are. But if you do think about it, for her to say that she heard 3 loud thumps, if it was just regular thumps, I don't think she would have mentioned it. But she hears them all the time. Those are her neighbors. The fact that those 3 loud thumps stuck out to her, I feel like it means something. Now after this, both of the girls were on their phone. On Faith's phone, you can see that she was active on Facebook, and she also had texted Brandon Edwards. Now Brandon Edwards is Karina's ex-boyfriend. Some people say they were just hooking up, some people say they were together, boyfriend. It's her ex-fling. Let's just go with that, her ex-fling. So Faith had texted Brandon. She said, "Come over here, B. Karina needs you more, aha, you know." And then later on, she texted again and she said, "You know, please let her know that you care." And then after that text, she sent "then." So we think that instead of the aha part where she said more aha, you know, that she was supposed to say "then, you know," and she corrected herself in the end. Now Brandon, they did see him at Thrill that night, so they had just recently seen him. After that, there was no more activity on Faith's phone. Now during this time, Karina was calling Brandon back to back. She was texting him, but he wasn't answering. So we believe that Faith had texted him that because she was just trying to help Karina out. I'm pretty sure Karina was like, "Can you call him or can you text him to see if he'll answer your phone calls, because he's not answering mine." Brandon did eventually end up texting her back the next day saying, "Hey, who's this?" After getting no response from Brandon, she decided to call her friend Jordan. At 4:25, Karina did get picked up by Jordan and she left the apartment. When she left the apartment, she left the front door unlocked. Now let's go back to the beginning where Eric was always breaking into the apartment. Now since he's always breaking into the apartment, why would you leave your front door unlocked? When you know Faith is in there and she consumed alcohol, so we don't know what state she was in, but you left your friend in your apartment with the door unlocked? But anyway, she got picked up by Jordan at 4:25 and then they went back to his apartment or someone's apartment. They went somewhere. She wasn't there. Now let's move on to later on in the morning. So around 10:30, Karina had called Faith and Faith didn't answer. She just kept calling her repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly, but Faith still didn't answer. She was calling her to get a ride back to their apartment. So since Faith didn't answer, she decided to call their friend Marisol. Her and Marisol thought it was strange that Faith didn't answer because Faith had morning classes just like they did. So they were like, how come Faith's not answering? She never missed a class, she's always on time. So the fact that Faith didn't answer kind of concerned them a little bit.
So I picked up Karina and we came back to the apartment and we saw her car. So I'm like, oh, she probably overslept.
They both went back to Karina's apartment and when they pulled up, they saw Faith's car in the parking lot. Both of them got out and they went to the apartment and they opened the door. As soon as they opened the door, they started yelling Faith's name and they had no response.
All I remember is just calling her name just because we knew she was there, like Faith, Faith. That's when we went to the room. And we found her.
Karina ended up going to her bedroom and when she went in there, she saw Faith's body brutally beaten to death. So in the bedroom, Faith's body was halfway off the bed and halfway on the bed. Her head was kind of hanging off the bed and there was a pool of blood beneath her head. She was also naked from the waist down and she had a black shirt pulled up over her face. There was blood splattered all over the walls. There was a used tampon next to her body. There was also a Bacardi rum bottle smeared with blood. It is believed that she was murdered by someone she knew and she was just caught off guard. After Karina saw this, she made a 911 call.
Dial 911, where is your emergency?
I just walked into my apartment and my friend is just like, she's unconscious. She's unconscious. I just walked in the apartment and there looks like there's blood everywhere.
Okay, listen to, when you touched her, how does she feel? Does she feel warm?
No, she feels cold.
She feels cold? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Don't touch anything else, okay?
So the police arrive and they go into the bedroom, they see the crime scene, and then they start collecting evidence. The police collected the Bacardi bottle that had the blood on it. They collected some semen that was found at the crime scene. Now, we don't know if it was on Faith's body. We don't know if it was near Faith's body. We don't really know where the semen came from. Earlier, a couple of years ago, they were saying that they found DNA. We didn't know what type of DNA, but now we do know that it was semen. So they did collect the semen. They also collected some other things at the crime scene, but we really don't know what it was because the police are being tight-lipped about it and keeping everything to the vest, so we don't know exactly what was collected at the crime scene. This is what we know so far. So the police did collect DNA samples throughout the entire house. Obviously, some of it came back to Karina and Faith, and some of it came back to another person. So let's get into the believed murder weapon. So the believed murder weapon was the Bacardi bottle that had the blood smeared on it. Now, people are saying that they don't believe that the Bacardi bottle could have murdered Faith because it's a glass bottle, it would have broken. Tests have been done to see if the Bacardi bottle can withstand the pressure of hitting someone and see if it can take the force. And after the test, the bottle never broke. Police did held a press conference to see if anyone knew any information about the crime that had taken place, and they offered a $40,000 reward. So let's jump into the suspects. Since we went through the events, the crime scene, let's go to the suspects. So one of the suspects was, you guessed it, Eric Takoye Jones. So Eric Takoye Jones did come to the crime scene and he tried to get into the apartment, but the police didn't allow him. So he was sitting there just sticking around, and there was news reporters obviously around to get the reactions and to see the evidence and what was going on, the crime scene they were trying to figure out. So he was there and he decided to give an interview. And in his interview, he said, "I'll be honest with you, whoever did this deserves to burn. From what I knew of her, she was the sweetest person in the world. If you needed her and she could do it, she was there." Now, this is obviously weird because let's go back in the video. What happened? He said he didn't like Faith. He hated her. He hated what she helped Karina with, the restraining order, that she was giving Karina a backbone. Karina was standing up to him. He hated her. He got kicked out and Faith moved in. He hated her. Not even to mention, Faith did mention to her friend how much Eric hated her and that he wanted to kill her. And if that's not suspicious enough, you want to know what he did? He posted on Facebook a couple days later and he said, quote, "Dear Lord, forgive me for all of my sins and the sins I may commit today. Protect me from the girls who don't deserve me and all the ones who wish me dead today." Anyway, now police did take him into questioning and he willingly cooperated. He gave them his DNA. He also willingly let them search his vehicle. They searched his vehicle. It came up clean. When they collected his DNA, it didn't match. So they said he wasn't a suspect and they just let him go. Now police had to look into different suspects. Now I just want to go back a little bit. Faith was dating two guys at the same time. She was dating her on and off boyfriend from high school, her high school sweetheart named Alex, and she was also dating a guy named Ty that she met in freshman year, and she was on and off with him for 2 years. Now let's get into Ty. His name is Ty Mcneill. Like I said, he was her on and off boyfriend in college. He was very cooperative with the police, and he did text Faith asking if they were still on for tonight, and Faith never replied. She just left him on red, I guess you could say, and he didn't hear from her until later on that night. Police were suspecting him because they interviewed Faith's friends, and from what they told them is that Ty was possessive and controlling, and he would text Faith, and if Faith didn't answer, he would come and pop up on her, see what she was doing. one time Faith didn't answer and he had gotten in contact with one of her friends. He found out where she was. He came and popped up, and her friend said that she was very scared because who does that? So Ty was looking really suspicious because of his behavior. I do want to mention that Faith did text Ty, sending a lengthy message expressing her love to him, which was kind of weird because she was on and off again with him, and she had recently said that she wanted to go back to her high school sweetheart Alex. So the fact that she did send him that lengthy text message was a little weird. But I do want to say that the time that she sent the message to Ty was the same time that the neighbor heard those 3 thumps. So that just brings up the question, was it Faith who had texted Ty, or was it somebody else? If it wasn't Faith who sent those text messages, then it wasn't Faith who had texted Brandon. It wasn't Faith who had went on Facebook. Someone close to her who knew what was going on in her life had to be able to do all those things. Now, Faith's father thinks that Faith wasn't the one to send those messages because the messages that she did send, her grammar was incorrect. But we do have to remember that Faith was drinking that night. So if you had a couple of drinks, your grammar isn't going to be perfect. Karina was throwing up in the bathroom, so I'm pretty sure Faith had a lot to drink as well. Police did collect DNA from all the people I mentioned so far, and they also collected DNA from all the males that were at the Thrill nightclub that night, and none of them were a match. Now let's jump into another suspect, which is Karina. So, like I said before, Karina and Faith were best friends. They were attached at the hip. They were always together. Karina let Faith move into her 1-bedroom apartment and they shared it together. But come to find out, Faith and Karina were having some issues in their friendship. Faith had reached out to her friend. Her name was Uma, and she asked her if she could move in with her because she just needed some space from Karina. Now, Karina is also a suspect because she left the door unlocked. Why would you leave the door unlocked? Her reasoning was because when Faith went to go pick her up in the morning, she wanted her to be able to lock the door. And then they were going to come right back to the apartment, but she wanted her to be able to lock the door. That's why she left the door unlocked. But that just doesn't make sense. Why would you leave your friend in your 1-bedroom apartment alone? She's been drinking. You have a crazy ex that keeps breaking in and popping up and shows up whenever he wants to, so you thought it was best to take the key and leave her there and then come back the next day. Okay, Karina. Another reason why Karina can be suspicious is because of her 911 call. When she made her 911 call after finding Faith's body brutally beaten, she called 911, but she was very calm. She started off the call with, "Hi, if you just found your friend brutally murdered, I don't think you're gonna start off the call with, hi,
Dial 911, where is your emergency?
I just walked into my apartment and my friend is just like, he's unconscious. He's unconscious. I just walked in the apartment and there looks like there's blood everywhere.
Okay, listen to...
But she did. And then the 911 dispatcher asked her, "What's your address?" She said, "I don't know, I just moved in." But records show that Karina has been living there for about 3 or 4 months. How do you not know your address? She states multiple times on the 911 call that she doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't know what's happening, and that there's different things in her apartment that weren't there before. Sorry to laugh, but what?
I don't know what happened. I just don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on. Like, I just can't believe this. It looks like someone that came in here. It really does. It looks like someone had been in there. Someone had to have been in there. A room that, like, was not here before.
Professionals believe that she was trying to frame the narrative before the police got there so she could prove that she doesn't know what's going on. But if you think about it, even though you just walked into this, you're not going to know what's going on. You're not going to know. You just walked into it. You're not going to know what's going on. Also in a 911 call, she said, "My friend is unconscious." As I've stated before, clearly Faith was brutally beaten. She's not unconscious. From the crime scene, you can tell that she's not unconscious. She was murdered. She was dead. So the fact that she kept saying, my friend is unconscious, my friend is unconscious, doesn't sit well. And during the call, she never said Faith's name. She only said, my friend, my friend, my friend. Now, the police did interview 2,000 people, and 700 people did provide their DNA, and none of them were a match. The police have been very tight-lipped about this case, and they've been holding a lot of things to the vest. They only let out a few facts. But one fact that the police did release is the profile of the killer. So the police stated that the suspect probably lived near Faith and knew about Faith and were familiar with Faith. They believe that they tried to approach Faith and Faith denied their advances. They believe that the suspect's behavior would have been changed after the murder, and they would have been keeping up with the facts of the case. With this information gained, we still haven't gotten any information through the public. People believe that the Chapel Hill police weren't equipped enough to handle the case, and they were too small. The police did seal off Faith's apartment, but they did not seal off around Faith's apartment. They did not check the other apartments nearby Faith's. They didn't canvass the neighbors. They didn't check the woods behind Faith's apartment, because Faith's apartment was located in the back of the complex, right in front of some woods, and they did not check it at all. They also left Faith's car unsecure in the parking lot. Later, they did get some help from the SBI, who actually came in and did quite a bit of work. They canvassed the neighbors, they asked the appropriate questions, and they gained a lot of information that the Chapel Hill Police Department didn't.